Orange and blue skies, orange and blue skies, orange and blue skies, orange and blue skies, man. The Knicks are in the NBA Finals. Pen, we're going to break that down. And what's next in Cleveland? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of thought processing going on behind these Eastern Conference Finals that Cleveland really played only 3 quarters in this out of these 4 games. And a lot of speculation in the offseason in the summer in Cleveland. And it's very important now that OKC is up. Is it 3-2?
3-2.
In the Western Conference Finals. I think it's very important for them to finish this series off in Game 6. Watch, like, and subscribe. Share the videos on YouTube. And thanks for joining us on Watch the Game Sport.
What's up, good people? What's going on? I know the title of this is Knicks Taking Advantage. That is not why I got my New York hat on. The Knicks and the Yankees, we are not affiliated. So I just wanted to call that out off top. No, I'm not subconsciously supporting the New York Knicks with this hat.
Hey, Penn, listen. We're coming into this season. There was a key injury to Jason Tatum in Boston. And going into the end of last season, the Boston Celtics has a lot to do with the outcome or lack thereof of last year's championship in the way this year's championship is shaping up in the NBA. When you think about it, Jason Tatum's injury was a key factor in the Eastern Conference. It was so last year, and you could pretty much say it was again this year. So we go into this season, many thinking that the East was up for grabs. The Knicks, I think they got to the Eastern Conference Finals last season, losing to the Indiana Pacers, and they had an injury.
Yeah,
a major injury. There's another major injury that went down with Tyrese Halliburton, setting the stage once again. You got two key superstars in the East injured, so it kind of cleared the path for a few teams in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland, New York, Detroit. Cleveland last year was the number 1 team in the East, weren't they?
Yeah, they won 62 games or 64, something like that last year. They was number 1 seed.
So getting to the Eastern Conference Finals for the Cleveland Cavaliers from Game 7 of the semis to Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. That was a hell of an accomplishment considering the moves they made to get there. Remember, they traded Darius Garland, brought in James Harden. And I listened to a lot of the sports talk out of Cleveland the last few days, and one thing that's come out is mixed emotions and mixed feelings about James Harden. But there's been a lot of sports media personalities in Cleveland that say that trading Darius Garland for James Harden, they felt like Darius Garland, well, he was injured. That now this is coming out of Cleveland. This is a lot of thought process out of Cleveland. Is that they don't think that the Cleveland Cavaliers would have gotten this far with Darius Garland. So many people feel like that James Harden served a purpose up until Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, me personally, I told you that I had I think I had the Knicks in 6, but if James Harden played extremely well, it would be Cavaliers in 7. You had no faith in James,
Nope.
and I did. So before I go any further, what say you?
I mean, I don't. What I mean, what's to be said? What is to be said? James Harden. James Harden. This is his narrative. This is what he is. I mean, I don't know why he keeps getting chance after chance from franchise after franchise, thinking he gonna be the missing piece to put us over the top. And he's up there. I mean, not up there in age, like 50, but I mean, getting up there in years. I think he's like 36 now.
Yep.
He's never been a defender. If his offensive game is not consistent, then that's how he balances out his defensive deficiencies. But you saw in game 1, the Knicks was just targeting him, and there was nothing he could do about it. It was nothing in his play that offset that. I mean, he wasn't even taking care of the ball because his turnovers was pretty high. I mean, so honestly, the Cavs should be, I guess, not excited, but they should feel accomplished that they got one step further with him on the team. Because I do think by keeping Darius Garland with the East being shaped the way it was this year, that the East was kind of wide open. And I think the Cavs could have got to this exact same spot that they was at, got to the conference finals, and got swept without trading for James Harden. James Harden didn't make not one bit of difference to me.
You don't think so? You think the Darius Garland move didn't make a difference? You think they could have gotten to this point with Darius Garland?
Yeah,
Probably could have won a game with Darius Garland. You just don't know. But
yeah.
his issue was health. Um, I think that was one of his biggest issues. I think he's got a problem with his foot or toe or something like that. But yeah, that was the thing with Darius is just he was injured quite a bit in Cleveland, and I don't know if franchise kind of grew tired of it
So,
in
so,
Cleveland.
so, so they
I
traded
think
for somebody.
Darius is a clutch. I think he's with Clutch Sports, if I'm not mistaken. And what's the guy's name? The agent, Rich Paul.
Rich Paul.
Rich Paul was, I think he was quoted as saying that he was trying to tell Darius, gonna try and get out of Cleveland anyway. So they made a move. But as far as the product on the floor, you feel that Darius could have got them to this point and probably would have had the same result. Um, I don't know what to think about that. But I tell you this: when the Cavaliers defeated the Pistons, there was a lot of buzz in Cleveland,
They was believe.
and
They was believing
yeah,
Cleveland. That's what they
definitely,
was on. I don't
definitely
know
that.
why.
Now, 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 cannot forget about Game 1 in these Eastern Conference Finals. I felt really good. We went on the air just before that tip off. Game 1 Eastern Conference Finals. 3 quarters, I felt really good about my prediction as far as James Harden being able to right his wrongs and change the opinions of his career in the playoffs. It looked really good for almost a little bit over 3.5 quarters. It was about 18. Was about what about? I forget. Was it an 18-point lead
Oh, it
or
was 22.
22-point lead with like 3 minutes left in the game or something like that? Or 4 minutes left in the game, and at that point, we talk about managing games. It just went all downhill from that point, and that pretty much continued throughout the series. So in Cleveland, they went from rah rah, we could do it to, oh my God, what happened? I mean, I heard them talk about comparing that one game one collapse to the fumble, that famous fumble of back in Cleveland when I think it was Byers fumbled the football against the Denver Broncos. This was
Oh, and the drive game, that game with
yeah.
John Elway.
I
Okay, yeah,
I heard a lot of reference to that game, and as each game went on, the blame towards James Harden picked up. See, a lot of the fans in Cleveland didn't really, they were kind of in love with Darius Garland, but they were willing to accept James Harden as long as it was attached to winning. And their fan base began to lose faith, and the team appeared to quit from games 2, 3, and 4. And James Harden was quoted as saying, he went out in an interview and they asked him, did he think that they were better than the Knicks? He said he think that, but he actually thought they were better than the Knicks.
yeah. I heard that
In
comment.
the 4-0 sweep, doesn't really. He said he don't think he really got a chance. Really had a chance. And they also took accountability for not taking care of business in the first 2 rounds. I came away from this series with a lot of respect for Donovan Mitchell. After I listened to his post game, he went out. He had like a 30-minute post game interview after game 4, and he took all accountability for the way this series unfolded. And he was like, the saying is, you just can't play with your food. I think they went 7 games in the first round. They went 7 games in the second round. Although it's impressive that they took out the Detroit Pistons, the number 1 seed in the East. Between game 7 and game 3, game 7 and game 2, the last 4 minutes of game 1, it went all downhill for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now they with a lot of different speculation. I'm hearing everything from go get Giannis to go get LeBron. Whether or not Spider is a number 1 option.
That's a real thing we gotta talk about.
James Harden picking up his option or turning the option down and looking for an extension or whatever. A lot of speculation. And did I mention Giannis?
You mentioned Giannis. You didn't
Okay.
mention Kenny Atkinson getting.
Well, we'll get to that because he's a part of this too. There's a lot of shock value with that because me and you both and a lot of fans probably thought that after game 4, pretty much between the shoot around, he made some comments at shoot around before game 4, saying that analytically they were winning this series. I think that's something like what he said,
paraphrasing. Yeah, that's what he said though.
And then James Harden made his comments that kind of pissed the fan base off as well, saying that yes, he did think that they were better than the Knicks. But when you go down 0-4, okay, now you're getting to the point where, okay, you're insulting my intelligence as a fan. We saw a team quit. Many saw a tired team.
It was that too, yeah.
In all fairness, it was that too. And I give James Harden and Donovan Mitchell credit for admitting that, look, they didn't take advantage of the first 2 rounds, and this was a result of that. And they talked about not making shots and all of that. I mean, in Cleveland, they even talking about Evan Mobley. Do you build around Evan Mobley? Do you get off of Donovan Mitchell? It's just so much going on. It's so many opinions and different fans with different strategies in Cleveland. They just throwing all these options at the wall in Cleveland. And if I ever had to feel bad for a fan base, That's it. Because after watching Game 7, seeing the Detroit Pistons go out the way they went out in Game 7 of the semifinals, Eastern Conference semifinals, to I felt bad for that fan base, to the way that the Cavaliers went down in a hole on a whole nother level for us to be playing in the championship. But they were a tired team.
They, I just it's I know I got a James Harden bias, right? I just have a hard time just wrapping my mind around the fact that they thought he was the answer. Okay, put it like this: on Saturday in the fall, if you come to Shorewood, you know two things gonna happen. We watching Michigan, we watching the game, and we probably gonna eat something. You know that going into it. So these franchises gotta look at James Harden the same way. He gonna be great in the regular season. We probably gonna have false hope that we gonna win the championship or we can actually do something in the playoffs. And then when the playoffs get here, James Harden is gonna show up. Playoff James Harden. So I think you gotta really, if they not talking about the general manager pulling off that deal, like, come on now, we gotta spread this blame to the right places. Kenny Atkinson get a lot of blame because he didn't call no timeouts on that 20 when they came back and blew that 22 point lead. The analytics statement that he made, um, even with the players coming out saying we played with their food, that kind of come back to coaching. The coaching is supposed to be resetting the expectations every game. Hey guys, we got a chance to take care of these guys. Let's get them knocked out so we can get some rest, get off our feet because we playing every other day in the playoffs. They should not have gone 7 games with the Toronto Raptors. For them to not win a road playoff game until game 5 of the second round, and then to follow that up and go home and lose a closeout game and have to go back to Detroit in game 7. Now you got lucky because Detroit, they just didn't have it that night. I don't know if they quit once the score got too out of reach, whatever. Okay, so you didn't have to be on pins and needles in game 7. Then you go to on the road again, game 1 in Madison Square Garden, up 22. You at least get that game. I don't think they was going to win the series, but that was a soul crushing defeat. And then after that, it was like, man, we got 3 more games, and then we can go to Cancun. Like we can't beat these dudes. We tired. We ain't got enough. I don't feel bad for Cleveland fan base because I just when you put yourself in the James Harden sweepstakes, I'm out. I don't know what you're looking at, and I have no remorse or no sympathy for you getting knocked out of the playoffs.
Well, from a fan base perspective, my thing is this. This is why I feel bad for the fan base. For the hardworking Clevelander that pays for a ticket to go and watch a basketball game in Cleveland, they have no control over what management does. I don't think that many fans, like I said, I don't think getting James Harden uh, was popular amongst the fans in Cleveland. And I think as the team had success, just like winning cures all, and I think they were willing to accept it as long as they were winning.
In the
But they
regular
gave
season,
away young talent, and now many fans are wondering if they even want to. Why would they even bring James Harden back? Why would they bring Kenny Atkinson back? The only guy that for Cleveland that's shining in the situation is pretty much because of his effort, and many questions whether or not if he was even playing injured in these games is Donovan Mitchell, and to a degree Mobley, because they felt like when they drafted Evan Mobley, he was compared by many other superstars of the past, Kevin Garnett. I mean, this is just some things I'm hearing out of Cleveland. Just they thought that he would be a major superstar in this league by now, and now they even questioning if what's the direction of the team. Should they build around Evan Mobley? And when it comes to Evan Mobley, I don't see him as a guy that you build around. I see him as a piece, second or third option on any given night, with the ability to have some special nights from time to time. Even Donovan Mitchell, I don't see Donovan as a one
Me either.
right now.
And now we touching on.
Um,
Now we talking about it. Now we talking about.
yeah, you wanted Donovan in Miami at one point, and
Well, look at the what we had down there. I was saying
yeah,
Jimmy and Bam.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
that's a better situation for him to be lead dog. I mean, he been in Cleveland 4 years now. He about to be 30. I think he's 29. This team has this is their ceiling
Yeah.
because you got to think with Boston coming back at full strength, unless something happened with Jaylen Brown and Tatum and they split them up. With them coming back at full strength, you got Halliburton coming back. I think the Pacers had a high draft pick or at least a lottery pick this year. You got to think the Knicks are in the finals currently right now. Orlando, we assume they'll get better because they're gonna get a new coach, looking like Billy Donovan. That's what the rumor mill is gonna be, and Billy is a serviceable coach. I mean, you just right there in the middle, so you may as well go ahead and try and I ain't gonna say blow it up, but just try and tool it around Evan Mobley just to see because I mean Donovan Mitchell been in the league almost a decade now, and so Donovan is he's a good Paul George type piece now, like not the guy, but he can be next to the guy. He can go get you 28 to 30 on a given night. But for him being lead dog, and I know he's kind of undersized at what 6'3", 6'2". Yeah. Listen,
So,
see the writing on the wall, Cleveland.
so the thing is, now we gonna get into the Knicks journey to the finals soon. But this is my thing as we wrap up on Cleveland. The greatest free agent of all time is available. LeBron James. Is it a viable option? I would say so. I do think there's a big portion of the Cleveland fan base that would approve of such an option to bring LeBron in. But bring LeBron in and surround him with who? James Harden, uh, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. I would think that if you bring it in LeBron, one of them three guys will not be there.
Probably Harden.
So that's one thing. LeBron, another option for LeBron, since we're talking about the greatest free agent of all time. Another option for LeBron is, of course, the Lakers, but he doesn't want to play. He's not going to give him a discount. He wants to get paid. This is what you hear. Definitely wants to get paid. Golden State to go play with Steph. Then Cleveland. And for that's pretty much how, from my perspective. That's how I look at it. Last but not least, which is what I would prefer, is that he retires. But that's not gonna happen
Yeah,
because LeBron won his send off.
Mm-hmm.
Now it makes sense to have a send off in Cleveland. Also, Giannis. Miami's a viable option for Giannis. There's been reports that Miami's trying to make moves to go get Giannis. So Giannis in Cleveland is an option. Okay. So it's just a lot going on in Cleveland. They even questioning whether or not this season was a success because of the way they went out in the Eastern Conference Finals. a lot of questions, and keeping Kenny Atkinson was confusing to the country, to the Cleveland fan base, to the Cleveland sports media. And this is my thing when it comes to Kenny Atkinson. Since they have went out and said we're going to keep him, he by all by All-Star break next season, Cleveland, no matter what moves they make, by All-Star break 2027, Cleveland needs to be one of the top two teams in the East, because if they are not, we'll be going back to, I believe, whether or not Kenny Atkinson is going to be fired by All-Star breaking next season. Also want to point out that Donovan Mitchell I think it was said that Donovan Mitchell was a key supporter of bringing Kenny Atkinson back.
Nah, man. Nah.
And her fan base and sports media saying Donovan Mitchell ain't that good enough. He ain't good enough to make that call. That's
Yeah.
a Mike call. That's a LeBron call. That's a Magic call. That's a Bird call. You know,
They just
many fans in Cleveland don't think Donovan Mitchell. I mean, they cool with Donovan, but they don't think he should be making that call. So it's been reported that he's been in support of bringing Kenny Atkinson back. He's back. This was the most expensive roster in the NBA this season, from what I believe. So, hey
they
man, before we jump into the Knicks, you got something about Cleveland. What do you think they should do?
I, they they about to waste a year. This reminds me of Matt Eberflus last year, going
Don't
into the
bring
off season when it was questions about your coach, and for him
yeah,
to
yeah,
kind of
exactly
came
right.
out the way he did. Now we had the
Mm-hmm.
evidence of Eberflus blowing games and couldn't game manage the clock and stuff like he did. We ain't even talking about the press conferences because he was losing them every week. But
Yeah.
just go ahead and cut it now. If it's been that much, noise around Kenny Atkinson, okay, so it quiets down in the off season, and then you get off to a good start in the regular season. Okay, cool. You make the playoffs again. Soon as they lose the second round, because that's their ceiling, even with the exact same team coming back, then what? You just wasted a whole year. And
Yeah,
like,
so hey,
yeah, just hit the reset button.
I think that bringing Kenny Atkinson back, Donovan Mitchell approving, bringing him back and supporting, bringing him back, I think Cleveland's going to make a run at LeBron James. I think Cleveland's. I think the first move they're going to make is at LeBron. Then if they can't get LeBron, I think they'll make a hard move at Giannis.
I would
So
go.
in the next 2 weeks to a month, I expect to see those moves, the rumor mill picking up after the finals. That Cleveland is first and foremost going after Bron, because you can't go after Giannis and then go after Bron, because Bron is the greatest free agent of all time, and he will not be second fiddle. Say no, you cannot go after Giannis and then go after Bron. You have to go after Bron first if you're Cleveland. So if you're listening in Cleveland, go after Bron first, because I think you'd have to have it. You got to crank his ego a little bit. Make him first option if you want him. And if you can't get LeBron, then go get Giannis. And if you're really dreaming, you can get both. But James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and I couldn't see Giannis and LeBron playing on the same team. I just don't think it fits. Just like I don't think Giannis fits with Evan Mobley. So
Do
make a
Giannis fit
call
with
to
Spider?
LeBron. Say that again.
Does Giannis fit with Spider?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. I believe Giannis can fit with Spider and James Harden, but Evan Mobley don't fit. Uh, Giannis would fit with if you take Giannis for Evan Mobley, putting Evan Mobley in Milwaukee kind of puts him in a position where now they're pretty much set on what they may think is a young star. I wouldn't say superstar, but probably it'll probably take Evan Mobley and another couple picks. Evan Mobley ain't enough. He won't be enough for Giannis. It'd have to be Evan Mobley, maybe another player and some picks, and then they get Giannis to Cleveland. So Giannis, I can see Giannis with Harden and Mitchell. I can see LeBron with Harden and Mitchell, but I can't see Giannis and LeBron. So go after LeBron first. Don't want to hurt Bron feelings. Then you have to go after Giannis. But you take a chance on losing out on Giannis because where it is, Miami's making a play.
At
So
this stage of the game, though, I get the Walt Disney NBA story of bringing LeBron back to finish in Cleveland, but LeBron gonna be 42 years old next year, year 24. Who affects the game more should be first priority. And I know he's
yeah,
the
but we
great.
talking about Cleveland
I know, but
and LeBron.
you gotta
I
that
wish you could hear the way they talk about Bron and Cleveland. Listen, go after LeBron first. Now, me and you both, we know that it can go this way. LeBron can get to Cleveland, and he can exhaust this whole franchise in 2 months. Okay, then they be looking at you. Think they tripping on Harden? You don't please LeBron's ego. You think you don't like James Harden. LeBron to make you feel uncomfortable real soon. Very yeah. Look, go after LeBron first. If you're trying to get LeBron, go get Bron. Call Bron first. Let Bron turn you down. But you're taking the chance. If you're trying to get Giannis, you're taking the chance on losing Giannis. That's just how I feel.
are you rolling that dice. If you the Cavs GM, that's how you playing it.
Yeah, because this fan base,
I ain't talking
they're
about
in
the
a tough
fan base,
spot. They're in a tough spot.
just building your team, just looking at the factors on paper. We ain't talking about the fan base. You
Okay.
call LeBron first over Giannis.
If it's okay, yeah. If it's me, I'm going after Giannis.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure. All right, just making
But
sure.
I'm saying from a Cavalier front office that might be getting their hopes up on LeBron, you can't go after Giannis and then LeBron because LeBron be, hey man, what was up with y'all? Why would y'all call Giannis before y'all call me?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Okay, I can see that. The Knicks are in the Eastern, meaning the NBA Finals. Man, the Knicks are 12-2 in these finals. Stephen A. Smith, Spike Lee, you name it. It's
Ben
orange and
Simmons,
blue
all of
skies in New
them. Yep,
York.
all of them.
I the two key members in for the Knicks right now. When I was thinking about this, the Walt Disney perspective it plays in as well. I'm gonna run that down to you. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikael Bridges. These Eastern Conference Finals. One of the big one the game that stuck out to me was game 2 in these finals, in these Eastern Conference Finals, because Brunson went old school point guard in game 2. He had 14 assists and maybe what what, 19, 20 points or something like that.
Yeah, 19.
That was a great game from my perspective, from a point guard perspective, and from an extension of the coach from Jalen Brunson to Mike Brown. Be an extension, making adjustments from game one to game two, expecting the Cavaliers to do something, and they actually did it, and you already had adjustments for it. That was the most impressive game to me, the 14 assists game by Jalen Brunson, because it gave us hope for positions to mean something in basketball. Making adjustments on the fly. Now, don't get me wrong, the Cleveland Cavaliers were breaking down and probably tired at that time anyway, but the Knicks 12-2 in these playoffs. We are a week away from the NBA Finals. But let me throw this Walt Disney at you. Remember, the New York Knicks are the defending in-season champions. Guess who remember the New York Knicks? I had to do my research because I was not all in on the in-season tournament. But the New York Knicks defeated the San Antonio Spurs in the in-season tournament championship game in Las Vegas. So, does Adam Silver put a feather in his cap for this one? Because this gives him an opportunity, in the league an opportunity, in this offseason to promote that in-season tournament. Again, the New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals. And it also gave me the thought process of, can they take this in-season tournament and make it have some type of postseason importance? Meaning you win the in-season tournament, might position yourself automatically in the NBA playoffs. I think that may be intriguing for the in-season tournament. Just something to think about. But they beat the Spurs in that championship game. Now they have an opportunity. The Spurs take care of business. Then we can see a rematch of the in-season tournament in the NBA Finals. But OKC needs to take care of business because I picked the Spurs in 7. But I've seen enough of this series. And now I'm ready for it to end, because what I do not want is for the Knicks to have another tired team in the finals. So I think OKC, whoever won that game 5, I wanted them to hurry up and get this over with, because I do not want the Knicks to have another tired team in the finals. I do not want a team limping into the finals with excuses at the end. So now I need OKC to take care of business. And for all of you that want to see some basketball on Saturday night and wish for a game 7, yes, I will watch game 7 if so. But these game 7s in these NBA playoffs have not been great. Last thing I want to see is get all, you're getting ready for game 7 on Saturday night and it ends up in a 30-point blowout. So if that's what we waiting on, let's just get over with and let's just watch some baseball over the weekend and get ready for the NBA Finals. These game 7s in these NBA playoffs have not been great, and it's been that way for a while. OKC needs to take care of business.
But you know better.
Mike Brown, man, go ahead.
You know better. You know what's finna happen. You know what's about to happen in this game. We've seen it too many times. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me just look this up. Let me just look this up real quick. I just want to see what the spread is for that game, so we can just
Game
know.
6.
Yeah, game 6. We got NBA. Let's see. The Thunder are plus 3.5. I'm taking that all day because the Spurs gonna win by double digits. We know how this go. This is Adam Silver's NBA. We know how this about to go. And like
Yep.
you just said, these game sevens have not been great. So everybody on national media is gonna be like game 7, with the number 1, number 2 seed in the Western Conference, right to go to the finals. And OKC is gonna win that game going away by 12 points or more.
In game 7.
Yeah, in game 7.
So you got game 7. You got OKC winning in 7. I'm hoping they can get it over with. But if that was to happen, I guess that would give OKC enough time to rest because that game 7 will be played on Saturday night.
We got
That
Sunday,
gives
Monday,
you
Tuesday, 3 days.
Sunday, Monday, 3 days off. You say
3.
4 days off, 3
3.
days off.
Game 1 is Wednesday.
Okay, yeah. So 3 days off. I guess that's enough time to get ready for the finals. Then they will be at home anyway. So it's like if they were to win game 7 at home and now they waiting on the Knicks to show up, I guess, you can go for that. I just don't want to see a tired team. By the way, if the Spurs win in game 7, then the series starts on Wednesday night in San Antonio. So the Knicks will be on the road either way.
Yeah.
Um, But I just want to see OKC get it over with because I don't want anybody going into these finals. I think they got enough guys banged up. They need these guys to get rested up. Get what's it? I think is was that Jalen Williams
Mm-hmm.
that's missed. He played in game 1 of this series and hasn't played a game since. And I think that if they get to the finals, he's going to get it. He's going to give it a go again. And I think if OKC gets to the finals, he will play injured in those finals. You know, he'd have to be out there. Can't walk for you to take him. Can't run and can't walk for you to take Jalen Williams off that floor in the finals. I think he's hoping that they can get it done and he'll be rested for the finals and give it 100% in the finals for Jalen Williams. So, but I don't want anyone else, and that includes the Spurs. But the Spurs behind the 8 ball, they need to win 2 in a row. I want to see OKC get it over with. But between game 7 and game 1 of the finals, we do have a little bit longer of a break. You know, uh, typically it's been one day off for these 7 games. Games for these teams that's extending these series to 7. Uh, like Cleveland having 1 day of rest before they go from one series to the next. And now that Cleveland is out, New York is the fresher team. Many would say New York is playing the best basketball in the playoffs at this point. Shooting extremely well. They've improved on the defensive end, and it's just a compliment of Mike Brown. And I had a chance to. It got me thinking about Mike Brown's career as a head coach, replacing Tom Thibodeau, and the criticism of Tom Thibodeau in New York was that he didn't play. He didn't go deep enough into his rotation. He wore his starters out. And he didn't get deep enough into his rotations. You can't say that about Mike Brown. He's played a decent rotation of guys, and been successful getting Jalen Brunson not to be so ball dominant at times. I think that was another adjustment he's made. Uh, and it was rumored that him and Carl Anthony Towns weren't getting along throughout the season. I think they probably weathered that storm and got it figured out. Like I said, winning cures a lot. Even the hiring of Mike Brown was questionable because the Knicks, when they hired Thibodeau, it was like many was people they didn't know if the Knicks had a plan. It took them a while to go get Mike Brown. But nevertheless, Mike Brown is in. Mike Brown He started his career in Cleveland as a head coach. We went from Cleveland to LA, Sacramento, and now with the Knicks. I think he's won a championship. Him and Kenny Atkinson were both on the coaching staff in Golden State when they won a championship. So he was able to knock off Kenny Atkinson, his former coaching buddy in Golden State, and now he's in the finals. Mike Brown was probably, I wouldn't say he was forgotten about, but he was probably the absolute last option because people were probably warned on Mike Brown before he got this Knicks job. And Mike Brown is like uh, the guy, he was seen as the guy to go get when didn't nobody else really want it. And stepping into a city like New York with that type of pressure, it wasn't a big fan favorite to go get Mike Brown, but hey, winning cures all. Mike Brown has gotten the Knicks into the finals. Stephen A was very critical of Mike Brown this season. Stephen A was hopeful that the Knicks did not run into the Pistons. Okay. This is another thing. We talk about that taking advantage of the situation. The Knicks have figured out a way. They the luck of the draw. They didn't have to face the Knicks. They didn't have to face the Pistons or the Celtics to get back to these NBA finals. So as wide open as the East was, the Knicks did exactly what they had to do while benefiting from some good luck.
And even with the Mike Brown scenario, I know like people probably thought he was an afterthought, but let's really look at that. Mike Brown got the Kings. That young Kings team. Remember, they took Golden State to 7. That Kings team was building something with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. They had some pieces on that team, and before we knew it, they was letting him go, relieved him of duties. When that team was ascending, and they traded De'Aaron Fox, and now the Kings are back to being irrelevant. Yeah. We don't even think about them no more. Then go back to when, remember, Steve Kerr was having back issues. Mike Brown coached that entire playoff run, and Steve Kerr came back to the finals and coached in the finals. But Mike Brown navigated them through the trenches and got them there. So Mike Brown, other than his stop in LA, because I don't think he really had nothing to work with, and Kobe wasn't really fooling with him. Kobe wasn't fooling with him. Kobe got him up out of there, and I think they wouldn't get Mike D'Antoni right after that. But other than his Lakers stop, he's went to the finals with the Cavs. He got the Warriors to the finals in Steve Kerr place. And then look what he was doing with the Sacramento Kings. So that really, really, even though the Knicks didn't seem like they had a plan, everybody was thinking they was going to get Mike Malone, Denver Nuggets old coach. For them to land on Mike Brown was probably, it's kind of like Michigan. They kind of failed up. Like we got off of Sharon Moore, we got Kyle Whittingham, and you saw what he was doing in Utah. We kind of failed up. So, you should be thankful that Mike Brown
and it really matches up for the coach in the franchise because Mike Brown in the Knicks, many people didn't have faith in the Knicks. You probably could say the same for Mike Brown. Because between Sacramento and the Knicks opportunity, Mike Brown we knew the name, but you couldn't say he was a big hire.
Yeah.
Go get this guy. He definitely wasn't Phil Jackson. He wasn't Pat Riley. Okay. He wasn't Larry Brown. These were guys that, people would beg these guys to come out and coach. But Mike Brown took this job, went into that market. Hey, he done it in LA, going to New York, went to Cleveland with Bron, with those expectations, went to the final, like you said, with Bron. Then he went to LA and coached Kobe. Sacramento did his thing with a young roster, got them ascending, like you said. And now he's in New York. Hey, the Big Apple. Got the city buzzing. got them in the finals. I think it's turned out to be a pretty good match for Mike Brown and the Knicks. And I just want to see a competitive finals. I don't want to see the Knicks have another tired and broken team coming into the finals. It's the last hurrah for the season. We need to see a really good finals. It gets us ready to this football season. So, the next time me and you speak, we will know who's in the NBA finals. I'm hoping it's OKC. I'm hoping that OKC can get the job done. And you thinking that they're gonna go to 7.
Yeah, we both got OKC. We just
Okay.
you got them
Yeah.
in 6 now. I forget what we said before the series started.
Well,
But
I had the Spurs in 7.
okay, so you still
But
alive?
so don't get me wrong. I could want to be right, with this outcome. But the vibe is get this thing over with
Yeah,
because we just praised Mike Brown, Jalen Brunson. By the way, Jalen Brunson, tremendous, tremendous. I mean, I haven't seen a guard do this in this fashion, where a team is being led by a point guard. I, Allen Iverson comes to mind. Okay, so I'm gonna put that there. But Allen Iverson didn't win in the finals. Now, the only other guard that I can compare him to if he wins a championship with this team is Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas, think about the roster he played with in New York. I mean, in Detroit.
yeah.
Think
You want
about
me to revisit a source
now. Now, now
child?
Jalen Brunson has shooting around him in this modern NBA, but I think the impact is about the same.
Uh, I mean, I can't argue against it. I won't. I won't because you know how I feel about the bad boy Pistons. I will. It's personal for me. I'm taking that to my grave.
Yeah, yeah, but this the thing. We all felt that way, but when you look back on it, I mean, Mike, they got their 6 titles. But you look at what Isaiah accomplished with the roster he had, and that's what I'm comparing.
Yeah, no, I get
The situation too is with Jalen Brunson, so he is worthy of comparison to Allen Iverson because he is in the finals. He wins a championship. I'm putting him up there with Isaiah.
Well, I think
He's got to win too. He's got to win too. I'm just gonna put him in the conversation with Isaiah. Isaiah got 2. Now I can't see the Knicks winning the championship and coming back. They got a hell of a task because OKC got something to say about it. And if I had to think about it, I think Spurs. If they had to match up with either one, they probably want the Spurs because of their youth and they're wearing down. They appear to be wearing down right now. Wembenyama, with all of the hype that he's been getting, and I don't know, you can call it hype. I'm impressed with his size, his length. I think he affects the game more so on the defensive end for me. Whenever he decides to play around the rim, he's definitely more effective. I don't need him handling my ball on the perimeter because I think they have enough of that for San Antonio. And I think I sent you some footage earlier of him, and I told you fundamentally he shrinks sometime, and it's pretty much on the perimeter. But anytime he's around the glass, he gets big again because there's only 2 things you can do: dunk and rebound around the glass. But when he gets to the perimeter, he goes from 7'5" to 6'7" because I don't think he has the right fundamental approach in his triple threat position of attacking smaller defenders. And I think going forward that I honestly believe as years go by, he will get away from that portion of his game and he'll be more dominant in the post. Because I think he's going to take the summer, and I would think that he's going to get better in his footwork and his positioning and learning how to take advantage of his wingspan. And you 2 years from now, you cannot put Alex Caruso on Wimby. It will you just won't be able to do it. Because I just think that if he gets into this off season and really studies his habits and where he's most effective on the basketball court, he will be more of a mid range to low post guy. Amazingly, man, this kid, how many times have we seen him shoot the ball with his right hand and in the same all in one motion, rebound it with his left hand and dunk it? I mean, he's done it at least twice in this series. And that's when he's being amazing in my opinion. Because as big and as agile as he is, he's a quick leaper. He jumps relatively quick. Defensively, I think OKC is figuring out how to attack his chest, and I think that's where he's breaking down because they are attacking his chest, and they have figured out a way to get him to attack his weak side because he's not stepping over as quickly. These games are piling up on Wimby. Okay, and if you see a flat Wimby in Game 6, I'm going to accredit it to that. That the games and the strategy that San Antonio has been using with Wimby is breaking him down, and then OKC taking advantage of knowing what he is and knowing how to attack him. When you got 6 opportunities to figure out how to beat a monster, you're gonna chop off some toes, you're gonna chop off some fingers, and he might bleed out. And I think that's what's going on with Wimby right now. But if Wimby stayed around that paint and quit chasing out to the perimeter as much, he's gonna be playing on a championship level. And I think in years to come, San Antonio will figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, San Antonio's a young team. I was kind of picking against my NBA rule, and a lot of people got this rule like, it's steps to get into a championship. You just don't go from being a young team and then you just go win it. You have to go through them playoff battles to gain the experience so you know what to do in these situations. And it's intriguing because he's 22, and for him to able to accomplish that, like just skip all the steps and win, then it kind of puts you like, well, damn, if he win it, the league might be in trouble if he get one now.
Yeah,
He's still learning and he won.
yeah. It'd be great for Adam Silver and
Oh yeah, for sure.
in his narrative, but
Silver
but
wants
from
the Spurs to win first. He wants the Knicks to win second, and OKC to repeat is they third option.
yeah. Now, are you bothered with the flopping that been getting the criticism of flopping that's been going on with SGA?
Yeah. Um, uh, it depends. It's game by game because sometimes I do think he be getting fouled, and he just trying to, hey ref, like I'm trying to get my call, and that's just part of the game. There's little gray areas inside of the game where you learn to be a pro and can manipulate, actions and angles so you can get them calls. But when he's just falling and nobody's touching him, that's the ones I got a problem with. Now, if he get a little bit of contact, like if we at the rack, we just at the gym and we just playing pickup basketball, we probably not calling that foul if we just get touched. But he's in the NBA. The refs know he's the MVP. I'm gonna exaggerate that a little bit. I'm cool with those. It's just the outright I didn't get touched, and I'm just trying to phantom get a call. Them the ones that bother me.
No. This is how I feel about it. If he can win his second championship, great. But I think going forward, he's going to get called. This is how I would call him. There will be times that he would get fouled and I wouldn't call it, especially if he's falling on the floor. I would I would have to get a message across to him is if you are flopping, you're gonna have to think twice about it. Because if I'm thinking you're flopping, I'm just gonna let you be a disadvantage on the defensive end, and you're gonna have to figure it out. Because if you're gonna fall on the ground and sacrifice form shooting and fall on the ground and sell a flop, me as a referee, I'm gonna let you flop. I'm not gonna call it because I'm just gonna let the pace of the game break you down, and then from there you can make an adjustment. Because when we saw physicality at its finest in the 80s and 90s, those guys they probably didn't even fall as much, and it's a lot more physical. So I'm not gonna reward flopping in this freedom of movement era. So I'm gonna let some of those flops go. I'm not gonna even call a tech. I'm just gonna put you at a disadvantage on the defensive end. And then you have to figure it out. So look, play the game the right way, play the game with some integrity. Just play the right way, else I will make you pay for it. That's just how I'll see it. Because it's too much stoppage, in my opinion, anyway. And if I gotta stop the game because you putting on a display of flopping to try and get an advantage, okay, now you forcing my hand, so now I'm gonna have to call you a certain way. You know, it's the exact opposite of the Jordan rules when you think about it, because Jordan was actually knocked on his ass.
Yeah.
So if you just gonna fall down just for the hell of falling down, I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna let the game play on just for the hell of letting the game play on. Get your ass up and go play some defense, or land on 2 feet and go get a rebound and go get your ass back on T. That's how I see it. I need OKC to win this game, Game 6. Next time you see us on Monday, the stage will be set. I don't know if it's gonna be Monday or Tuesday, but we'll definitely get back at you before Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I need two highly competitive teams. I've seen enough of this San Antonio OKC series right now because I need OKC to get it over with. I need two teams as fresh as possible going to the NBA Finals so we can end this thing at the end of the season on the right, excitingly. And hey, Jalen Brunson, Knicks, Mike Brown, they waiting on you. OKC, let's get it done. Thanks for watching.
We out.